Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through the basic Joomla administrator tasks today. And the way that you log into the administrative back end of the website is you can just go to the normal URL of your website, which is shown right here. And you type the word administrator. And it's always best to put a / after the R of administrator before you hit enter and log in. Now, that took me right into the control panel because I was already logged in. What we'll be doing is creating user accounts for probably both of you today, so that you guys can log in as administrators. And there's multiple types of administrators. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. We're going to go to the... Don't be concerned about this right now. We're just going to add users, but we'll be going through all these things. Actually, you are a super administrator. Okay, now you can both log in. So what will happen is when you go to that URL with the administrator, it'll go to a login screen. You put in your username, which your username is D. Richter, his is D. Cleveland, and your password. And then it will log in, and you will end up right here at the control panel. So this is basically the home screen for the administrative area. Okay? And what we're going to do today is go over the basics, and then we can drill into specific areas. If you have things you need to change right now, you say, Steve, I got to do this now. Let's focus on some of those. But what we're going to be doing is kind of Joomla 101 right now, and what this all means on the back end. So it uses a icon, control panel similar to what you'd see in Windows, and then there's these menus that go across the top. Everything that you can do here is up in these menus as well. Okay, these are just sort of quick icons to drill into a specific area that the programmers felt like you would be using all the time. Okay, so let's just kind of look through the lay of the land here and figure out what all this means. You have a site menu, a menus menu, I love saying that, a content menu, a component menu, extensions menu, tools menu, and help. All right, the site menu is an area that has a lot to do with initial programming of the site or global changes to the way that the site runs on the server. For the most part, you won't be using anything in the site menu except for User Manager. If you wanted to add or delete users or modify your passwords, you would use the User Manager selection under the site menu. Okay, so if we go there, we were actually there a minute ago. It gives you a list of all of the users on the site that can log into the back end. You don't have, well, actually, you do have front end login because you have a store. So you also have there's two ways people can log in. One would be on the front end if they were to purchase something, and the back end is if they wanted to administer the site itself. Okay? So here are the users. If you wanted to modify, let's say you forgot your password, Dave could log in and he can just type in a new password here for you. Okay. All right. Or Dave Graves or myself. Could do the same. And Chad, and so there's a bunch of us here that have administrative access. So really, aside from that, there's no real other reason for you to be in here. Even logging out, which is a good practice when you're done, you can do right from the top here. You don't even have to go to the menu. Okay, so now we're at the menus menu. And the menus menu is really to build menus for your website or modify menus, add new items, delete items that don't need to be there anymore. For the most part, this is structural work, and it's work that you probably won't want to do. You'll probably want us to do that for you. Because once you've built menus out, for the most part, on the majority of sites, they stay. And what changes is the content of the site itself or calendar events. Those are the things that change, not the structural part. But should you require it and you wanted training on the menus, we would provide that. I would say it's not a good use of our time today. And when I say menus, let's go ahead and do a preview of your site, and the menu would be right here. So if you needed to add new things in here, like we have Share-a-thon 2010, so you probably are going to change that to Share-a-thon 2011. Okay, and that would be going in and actually changing both the names and what the menus do. So for instance, if we look at Share-a-thon for a second, what you could do easily is when you have a new brochure or flyer to put in here, if it's going to be the same as this, we would just go up to the menu. Let's go to the main menu. You actually have two menus, a main menu and a bottom menu. And here's Share-a-thon 2010, and I would literally come in here and just change the name and hit save, and I would be done. That's how I would change. The menu would now be Share-a-thon 2011.
Okay.
But we don't want to do that right now because it is not Share-a-thon 2011. You don't have that content in there. But that's really what you would do with the menu here. All right. Content, this is a place you're going to spend an awful lot of time changing content on the site. What I'm going to do is actually go through these before we get into the specifics of them. But this is where you would change out pages. Now, content is what we would say shows up in this area for the most part. Okay, about us. If we go here, this is content right here. Okay. A calendar is not content. A calendar is content, but it's a unique kind of content. We'll go over that. But for page build-outs, that's content. All right. Components. What are components? Well, components are actually, if you think of them, they're little programs that are installed inside your website that do various things for you, specific things. They're scripts, they're programs, they're applications. Okay? So Joomla comes with a baseline of default components that are in there already that do various things, and then we come in and we add a lot of extra stuff to add functionality to your site. Some of those things are, we put a form building tool that can create as many forms as you want so that people can, you can make a custom form, people can fill it out, and it sends you an email and populates the database with the form. We put a calendar in there called JCal Pro so that you have a fully interactive dynamic event calendar. We put in a fancy editor that's a better editor for editing your content. These are all specific functional components. And we put in some things that improve the search engine functionality of your site. This is a component called SH404, which we use on every project that we build. It extends the search engine functionality of your site. And, of course, Virtuemart, which is your e-commerce store, we installed that allows us to build out a store, have items, and clear those through PayPal or a regular merchant account. Okay, so we're going to spend some time in here because there's specific things in here that you'll be using, like the calendar and the store. Okay, and we'll be taking a look at that. The extensions menu is similar. It allows you to install, change, modify what are called extensions. And for the sake of this particular exercise, we're going to say those are modules and those are plugins. And you can see there's a module manager and a plugin manager here. Okay? So what we're going to do is take a quick look at the front end here. Joomla sites and content management system sites are built similarly in that they have sort of these modular areas. This search is in a module area. It's dynamic. We can change what shows up here. This support donate is a modular area. This upcoming events out of your calendar is a module area. So these modules, the great thing about them is they can come and go as we move around the site. So if we change a menu, you can have something else show up in these modular areas. Just like the new page shows up, you can also have new features over here.
Okay.
And I don't know how much of that we're doing, probably not a lot, but you do have that sort of control. And modules can be little programs that we install. They can be little functions that we put in, like there's a donate button. They could be a module which shows your coming events out of the calendar dynamically, and as they go by, so do those change automatically for you. Or it could be just a little piece of content that we build out with a link. So this is a good representation of what different modules could be. Honestly, I don't see you changing the modules that much. You have them in there, they're functioning, but you easily could change the modules if you wanted to add or install or change the modules that are there. Plugins are little scripts, they're little things that we install on your site, but primarily they work in the background and they're invisible. They do various things. Okay, to give you an idea, there's a plugin that allows you to, this search is your site search. So if I was to come in here and I was to say Nichols, and we do a site search, it's going to return every single piece of content that has the word Nichols in it, either in the title or in the content, which there's a lot. Okay? And that makes sense. So there's a plugin that also allows me to bridge this search over to the store, because remember, I added the store after we made the site. So then it invisibly connects the search functionality not just to your content, but into the store itself. So that's what a plugin would do. Again, you're probably never going to install a plugin. You're probably never going to delete a plugin because it's part of the programming of the site. But I do want you to understand what all of this stuff is, just so that you have an idea when you come in here that, wow, this looks overwhelming. Well, not really, because all I'm going to do is I'm going to be working in content and I'm going to be working in components. That's the areas that you're really going to be focusing on.